Alrighty. Support on. Alright. Good evening, everybody. 1 second. Oh, there we go. Come here. Alright. Good evening, everybody. There we go. Beautiful. All right. All right, give everybody just a second to hop in and we will go ahead and get started. All right, good evening, everybody. What's up? Happy Sunday. Go ahead and get started here. All right, so just basically a recap of what we're going to be doing this weekend, or going over this weekend. We're going to go over the economic calendar for this week, earnings as well. Some headlines that we're going to be watching for, and then we'll go over a quick playlist that I'm watching. Just some stocks I'm going to be watching going into next week. Roblox, Apple, which honestly we'll be watching that one down. I do, and also I'll give you guys my sentiment. I think, which is, obviously important just to hear what I have to say. Maybe you guys can go listen on other analysts and see what they have to say, kind of accumulating that to you into your own little formula. But I do believe that we may see some continuation to the downside. I do think a relief bounce, but I do think continuation to the downside towards the end of the week again. But we'll talk more about this. What's up? Good evening, Richard. How's it going? All right, last thing to do here. Maybe. That's enough for me. All right. All right, what's up? Hey, what's up, Al? Hope you guys had a good weekend. Nice and relaxing, hopefully. All right, I'm gonna put OBS right up here. All right, and one last thing I need to do, and we'll be ready to go. So usually,
people with ADHD save 10 hours studying with this Chrome extension.
That's a lot.
By all means.
Thank you for that ad. All right, let's get to it, guys. So, getting into the economic outlook going into the rest of this week. We have September 17th. We have the Treasury budget, which is usually a relatively low impact trading. So that's good. We talk about how no way, found out my girlfriend's dad is another pro day trader. He told me to keep the stop loss on because the Dow is overextended. That's funny. Yeah, I'm telling you, Chrome knows I have ADHD. Yeah, like I'm not even receiving diagnosis. I'm receiving diagnosis from Google. That's sad. Quad witching can be, I would say overall bearish. It tends to be the blanket is that we'll pull back. But at the same time, I mean, a lot of contracts expire. A lot of things have to be covered. So, I mean, in all honesty, it looking back at previous quad witching, looking back at last year's quad witching, it was awful. There was no bearish or bullish. It was choppy. It was frustrating. So in that case, I would say more bearish than bullish. Okay, so September 14th, and it's good. Good, you guys should have this website. Core PI and core CPI and CPI data coming in. NFIB small business optimism data coming in, and obviously that's low impact. But the core CPI and CPI data are going to be relatively high impact. September, we've got a lot of import stuff coming in as far as import, export prices, Empire State Manufacturing. All of these seem to be relatively low impact. Towards the end of the week, of course, going into jobless claims, et cetera, retail sales, and those would be a little bit more impactful. But, of course, quad witching is a big part of this week. And I also want to turn your guys' attention, now that we've kind of covered the economic outlook for the week as far as economic data coming in. Also want to give you guys a look at the earnings calendar. Now, we just a couple of people just posted that in the chat. Those of you watching here on TikTok, we are on YouTube Live right now. You guys can see my screen, all this good stuff. So if you guys want to hop in there, that's where we're at. Link is in the bio. So let's go ahead and let's take a look at the earnings going into this week. No stocks reporting on the 16th. One stock, which is the Manchester football team, our soccer team, whatever state you're in, is reporting on Friday. But other than that, we have very low, no sentiment, no catalyst going into this week. So if you guys want my honest opinion, keep your positions small and be long. This week, I think that a lot of stocks will end up trading flat. We're going to take a look at some of the stocks that have pulled back a good bit, and we're going to look at the charts and look at how they've performed previously on these similar type of projections. So we'll go over that as well. But earnings is lackluster. Oracle is probably the only company out of all of these that, I mean, I've played Volt before. Actually, had shares in Volt before. Fuel Cell, of course, is once. Actually, that's not. Jinko Solar, which could be an interesting one to watch. But other than that, guys, just nothing happening here. So let me go alert everybody really quickly again. Just on here. Yeah, if you guys want to go to YouTube, it's going to be easier for me to interact and talk. I can see your messages here, take your requests. So we'll start charting requests here around 8:35, 8:40. So once we kind of go over everything. Yeah, for you person who DM me on Discord, I feel better, but I still don't feel great. So I do have cool coffee up though. Okay. Anyway, so we got most of these stocks as far as the earnings. We got a good outlook on what we can expect. I think next week, the week after that, it will pick up a little bit with some more noticeable names, but otherwise still pretty lackluster. Friday has a pretty large amount of education and therapeutic stocks coming, pharmaceutical, but other than that, we were going to have to wait a couple weeks. So it's not going to... I know this is a broad statement, y'all, but like September is not a great month for trading. So this is where I urged people last year, and I'm going to urge people again, because a lot of people didn't listen, not just to me, but to other people, that keeping your positions long, right, and staying out on those long, because this can get choppy. September's not it's just not a great performance month for the stock market historically, and on top of that, we have a lot of sentiment that would only add to that. So, anyway, so we got earnings taken care of. Let's go ahead and kind of cover some of the major headlines going over this week. Bitcoin. I always like to go over, is this thing working? Yes, it's working. What's up, Matthew? So Bitcoin fell about 10.9%. Dogecoin lost about 21.9%. BNB lost about 18%. But there are some crypto winners. We have Solano, XTZ, and Algo all moving double-digit gains this week. So the third biggest crypto in the world is suiting up for a big update tonight. Cardano Alonso's hard fork will bring smart contracts to the network, hoping to break its competition with Ethereum. Oil production is dragging its feet in the wake of Hurricane Ida, which shut down about 1.1 million barrels of daily production in the Gulf. According to Bloomberg, it is unclear when that production will return, and with more storms brewing in the Atlantic basin, there is a bull case for oil. Excuse me, sorry. Earnings season is pretty much over. In the meantime, we just talked about that. We'll have to be entertained with Match Group, owner of Tinder, joining the S&P 500. That's pretty funny in my opinion. Bumble, etc., etc. But other than that, the S&P has pretty much, I think September 20th. They will release the Perugino company, which I know nothing about. Match Group owns about 40 dating apps, including the highly popular Tinder app. 56.4% of the company's revenue came from the Tinder app in the latest quarter. All of Match's businesses got a boost thanks to COVID-19 pandemic. However, they're seeing more engagement now than they did at the peak of the lockdown. That's hot. So anyway, that's actually one that I'm going to be watching. Of course, anytime I see articles about a specific company, and of course joining the S&P is going to be pretty lit. So the S&P, a handful of recent S&P additions have become spicy momentum trades, which is Moderna, Caesars, NXP, and Tesla, all appreciated significant gains leading up to their S&P listings. So hopefully we can see some continuation of that. Another thing to go over is we also have DraftKings, DraftKings. That's how not sports like I am. I am going to watch football this season. I decided that yesterday. I missed watching all the football today, which was not a great start to the season. I forgot. Not a great football fan over here. I have been and used to be a diehard Saints fan, so watching the Saints. But this brings me to the more important fact that DraftKings sports betting is about to get extra hot. Something that you guys should probably have on your watch list. DraftKings Las Vegas Sands GNOG. If anybody's still holding GNOG from the original $13 call out, that's in the $23 range. Probably gonna, if you're holding that, I mean, it looks like a good hold. They actually have amazing fundamentals. If you go look at their they have no debt and there's just cash flow. That's great. Very little overhead as well. So all that being said, aside from that, last week we also had Rocket Labs. Their stock price, of course, recently SPAC company provided financial results from their first half of 2020 and cited confidence among investors with the newfound figures. Rocket Labs rose 22.4% after the reporting revenue of $29.5 million, where those figures seem to be pretty paltry for the company valued at $8 billion. So, other than that, after weeks of delay, Coinbase Pro finally listed Shiba Inu, and it did not go too well. The price of Shiba became excessively overvalued after the order book went live at approximately noon CD, September 10th. The price dumped from basically 57 hundredths of a cent down to even less than that. I don't even want to copy that. I don't even know. It basically like 70 there's 5 zeros in front of that, so there's literally no point in even trying. It dumped from nothing to even worse of a nothing. But anyway, oh my god, if you guys look at the 15-minute chart, I can show you, those of you in the Discord, go look at live trading chat. I will show you the chart. It is worth looking at. Shiba Inu's chart on the 15-minute, like, whew, it's kind of nauseating. So there you go. That's crazy looking. Anyway, so that was apparently the Doge killer. All right, so that is pretty much it. We already covered some of the top earnings. Now, just to give you guys one last outlook on the sentiment going over like the week, I'm going to do that while I step into my analysis of the S&P and the Qs. Should we hold shorting stocks like SQQQ? That is actually something we'll be talking about for sure, because SQQQ is definitely a good place to look in times like this. I very much am looking at entering a long-dated short. Not just because Michael Burry activated his Twitter, but my sentiment, guys, I really feel that the chart sets up the news. And just looking at, now, I will say that the S&P is already leading to the downside, right? Like, and that's what we're going to go over here. We're going to go over the cyclical nature of SPY and how things move. It's going to be kind of crazy. So, right off the bat, the previous last two cycles, we're going to go over SPY, we're going to go over the Qs, we're going to keep them brief. I'm going to try and keep it under a couple minutes each, and then we'll go ahead and start getting to some requests and stuff like that. So if you guys have any chart requests, Yusuf, what do I think it will happen? What do I think the crash will happen? As soon as there's an event that's likely already either happened or they know is going to happen, and it usually takes something. The thing that worries me is that like people like Kaplan and stuff like that were able to sell their stocks, and they were able to do so without any sort of repercussions. That's scary to me, because it really seems like they're running hiding. But in my opinion, I think that I can't. Well, I'll just say this: I can't predict when something extreme is going to happen, but the chart looks the same way that I've said that a lot of the times charts will set up the news. The S&P setting up this type of momentum or this type of news. The chart just looks bad, and everything's overbought. The Dow is overbought. I mean, did you guys see the way that the Dow fell? I mean, the Dow like literally dropped like a hot rock in one day from that 248.50 mark all the way down to that 245.85, dropping almost all the way down to that 200-day EMA. Definitely breaking, and in fact, this is just a testament to the three times in a break, right? 1, 2, 3, and we break. So that's one of the reasons why I'm expressing my sentiment for SPY, is because we have gone 1, 2. I mean, we've gone overboard. But in the last, since I would say June of this year, we've gone 1, 2, 3 bounces off support, and here we go for our fourth. So in my opinion, since we've been using that 50-day EMA as kind of like that check mark, right? You'll notice that it's sitting right at $40 or 40.98, so just a couple cents underneath 441. That is under support for me anyway. I do believe that underneath, if we close a candle there bearishly, that we will absolutely see continuation of the downside. There was no true catalyst for the rejection off the top. It just, sentiment shifted. That's it. Like I know that there was a couple things that spurred it, but for the most part, we turned over. And for me, seeing this sell-off, and you'll notice, I was just going to point this out to you guys, this is how, it's just going to be this simple. Instead of carrying the sentiment knowing that something is going to crash, I'm carrying the sentiment preparing for that type of movement, but I'm also looking at the fact that the S&P is designed to go up, and anybody who doubts otherwise will get their asses handed to them. So in the meantime, right, I'm going to be looking for previous signs of the bounce. So what we're going to do here, for me, I'm looking at the 50-day EMA. That's really the only thing between us and support, and that's sitting here on the daily time frame. That's that 50 EMA. That's the purple line on my chart. I'm actually going to change that line thickness here just a second. If you guys want to see my chart, looking at different things here, but if you guys want to hop on here, on the YouTube link is in the bio, you guys can see my chart, and drop a request here in just a second for a chart. So anyway, there's that 50 EMA right there. So what I'm looking for here is I'm looking to head back down to 441. We're currently sitting at 445. That's a $5 drop or a $4 drop. Wouldn't be surprised if we lose a few cents. But of course, at that point, we'll be looking for, and you'll notice that as we head down, right, on previous, we get pretty strong volume spikes. So that's what we're going to be looking for, is a decent volume spike, a bullish, some type of bullish candle bounce, right, in order to kind of give us a signature that we may be continuing to the upside, because usually when fear starts to ensue, which is what's happening as of now, that's what you start to see. But we'll go from here and move over to the Qs. So the Qs here, same thing, kind of turning over off the top of that resistance, starting all the way back in August of 2020, running up here, getting really, really tight. In my opinion, the rather than using the 50 EMA on this time frame on the daily, I'm looking at the 500 HMA. Now, why am I switching from a 50 EMA on SPY to a 500 HMA on the Qs? Because that's just what the Qs like. I'm just looking. I want to see what they like, right? What do they respect? And then what do we talk about all the time? We're looking for signs of respect, and sometimes you can even find certain time frames that work best with certain EMAs, and you can actually, like with JMIA, the 2-hour time frame with its EMAs is the best way to find the bounces. Period. End of story. We figured that out. We back tested it. It works. That, I don't know why. That's just what it likes. So I found out the Qs likes that 500 to HMA. We tend to see this type of movement. Yo. Hey, thank you, Atlas. What's up, brother? So anyway, right, I have found that the Qs like the 500-day HMA. Did you learn how to trade on your own, or did you learn from someone else? I learned from people. I didn't have one person teach me how to do this. I was hungry for it, and I don't know if it was just the fact that I talked about it every day, about how excited I was. Like, my fiance just wanted me to shut up. I literally ran into a guy who worked on the floor in Wall Street, and he was driving an Uber in Portland, Oregon, and he gave me a ride, and we talked for 4 hours in the back of his car. Well, he didn't come back, but we literally stopped at my stop and just continued to talk. And I learned things that you just can't learn in a book. How intuitive this art is, and that kind of stuff. So it was accumulation. I mean, there's Rollman in the chat who has taught me so much. But the thing, and then I think the thing that I can answer this the best as is, I didn't learn that there's not one person that's going to give you, that's the beauty of this. And that's why the beauty of our group, I think, in my opinion, is that everybody has a little bit of their own style. Manny's a scalper. I'm a swinger / scalper. That's for stocks anyway. And we have so many different styles. Penny's, Georgie's a dip master. Heck finds the runners. I mean, we have Astros just out there knocking out, like breaking his bat, finding bangers. And then you have the members in the group who are developing or have developed their own style, and they bring that to the table. When you get to talk to people, you get to find out what works for you, and that goes right into the rules that we talk. Not the rules, but the guidelines that we talk about. In order to build your own trading plan, you have to find out what works for your time, like your availability, and your personality, because it has a lot to do with your trading. What's up, Boosh? I didn't know how else to say that screen name. That's pretty. You can't help but be excited. Thanks, buddy. I appreciate you being here. What do I think of Pfizer? We'll take a look at it. All right. So anyway, we got the Qs, guys, kind of turning over here. They're sitting at the 20-day EMA. That is a previous breakout zone, right? So a level of respect, right? Another level of respect that we're going to be looking for. We're looking at 272 as a bounce spot, and you'll notice that was actually the range, right, of this flag. We'll call it a flag. So this little bear flag or bull flag on the Qs is actually going to be the range in which I'm looking for that bounce. So right now we're getting to the top of that top resistance where we did finally end up breaking out, and then that's the 20-day EMA, looking for that drop to basically 372, 371, and that's for the Qs. So, and that's granted, y'all. I'm not saying this is going to happen Monday. Let me make this clear before I move forward. if we go look at the cyclical nature of things like this, you don't just go straight down. You're gonna bounce. You will bounce. So more than likely we'll see SPY maybe even hit 378 and then reject that 200-day EMA. So we'll just take it as it comes. But in this case, what's up? What's up, Shalok? That actually came out worse. I'm gonna just say boosh. Yo, what's up? What's up? Good evening, everybody. Just joining us on the YouTube. Do I think Apple will bounce back on Monday? I'm actually going to show you guys that on my chart here in just a second. Apple is a main coverage where Apple's about to be hot on my watch list again for a little bit of that. Here's the thing. I'm a long-term trader, and I want to be able to set up a bull spread on something. So I want to go out long, pick a target, right? So on Microsoft, 305, that was my target. I picked it, I scalped it underneath, I shorted it underneath, and when it hit 305, I told everybody I'm out. And I'm done with it. If it goes to 310, sweet. I'm not swinging it. I'm not going to set up a spread on that. So with the Apple, I don't know why I do that, the Apple. But with Apple, it ended up taking off without me. I couldn't catch it. So it ripped, and I was totally okay with that because I was playing Microsoft, but in that case. Damn, Tate. That's really nice, dude. That was really nice. Thank you, man. You're gonna make it emotional. Chill out, man. Thank you. I appreciate that. Alright, so with the Qs, you guys got my price target there. 375. That's the first one. 375. 372 after that. Dow Jones. Trying to keep this quick. I don't want to bore you guys. Same thing there. There's a tiny little gap, right? That gap's going to get filled. I would imagine that we'll bounce up and retest the 347.10, 347.50s, and perhaps even go to the downside. I have a downtrend. We're going to go ahead and erase this channel. So take a look at this, y'all. This was a channel that we were trading in. We're breaking out of it. Okay, so we know where we're at as far as that was concerned. For me, let's go right here, and then I'm going to go ahead and draw a little trend line right here. I see that it's well respected, right? So here's the beauty of finding a downtrend like this, right? If you find a downtrend where you can see that there's obvious, like the shorts are sitting right there, that it gets wicked down, that's where you use, like, as long as it stays underneath this line, it's in a downtrend. As long as if it breaks that and starts climbing up, it resumes the uptrend. So, Garrett, if you cry, I cry. Don't cry. I won't cry. I won't cry. Will AMC continue to climb? No, but I have reason to believe that GameStop may squeeze. I know that sounds absolutely insane, but I really actually think that if the market turns over, that we will actually see one of the largest short squeezes that we have ever seen in the history of short squeezes. That's just my opinion. I'll talk more about that soon. Okay. Hold on 1 second. You guys hear me? Okay, you guys can hear me. Alright guys, my crisp, the condenser is working. I just wanted to test it. It's clapping. Okay. All right. Anyway, so we got the Dow. I'm done kind of covering these ETFs, guys. We're gonna go ahead and get into. So you guys, one at a time on the YouTube channel. If you guys want to go ahead and start slopping. Oh my god. If you guys want to start slapping your picks into any charting request, I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna start with Apple here. Apple's on my watch list. If you guys didn't catch the short. Talk about some serious, a bit of echoing on YouTube. Okay. How about now? Is that better? And I'm writing these down, so if you guys drop your request in here, I did watch the Fortnite live event. Yeah, I did. Yeah. Yeah, I'll run it with you. Send me your name, dude. I don't know if they have them. They don't have Fortnite right now. It like wouldn't let me log in. Said I had to wait like 12 hours. But yeah, for sure. All right, so I'm gonna go ahead and write these down. Starting with DE, that first one there. Okay. So Apple. Let's get into Apple. Why did Apple fall? Why is Apple? If you guys are curious about Apple, hit the link in the bio YouTube. We're live there right now, looking at Apple. Can we use the news term for shorting stocks as we're gonna slap the slobbers? Oh my god, get out of here, dude. Yes, I guess so. Slap the slop. Yeah. Travis wasn't there, no. If you guys have ticker requests, just drop them onto the YouTube and I'll cover them there. I do. Yeah, if you guys are just tuning in, we're talking about, I have covered everything here on YouTube. We've only been live for about 31 minutes. So if you guys want to go and start watching the YouTube, you guys can see I've covered all ETFs. I've covered the economic calendar going into this week, earnings, headlines, and the sentiment as well going into this week, as well as covering those major 3 ETFs. So all under 25 or 32 minutes. So that's a lot. Okay. I always get confused. I was like, damn, man, people left. Okay, so here's the deal. Spy, Apple, this is the channel. Okay, I gave you guys the 157 price target. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna go look at the cyclical nature of Apple, right? And how it behaves normally when it's under these type of under this type of pressure or under this type of sentiment. So in this case, guys, the reason why I had, and I'm just going to recap this, the reason why I had a 157 price target on Apple was the same reason that I had a $305 price target on Microsoft months before we actually hit that target. And the reason why is one of my favorite and trustiest long time is the standard deviation channel. It is probably what I would say is the #1 indicator for long-term swings, period. I mean that. So just from one trader to another, that is one of my #1s. I look at that as a means of long-term trend and where can I fit myself into that. So anyway, with this channel, right, that we have, you'll notice that the 200-day EMA is in line really well. Starbucks and MVST, I'm writing these down as they come in, or as I see them come in. MVST, AMD, and Fubo. All right, and I will try to get to these as fast as possible. So those of you guys who if you want to come back, and obviously it's going to take me a few minutes to go over each ticker. I don't have every single one of these charted, but I always go into it, show you guys my charting process, so you guys can even just learn from that. And yeah, we'll go from there. So I appreciate you guys' patience in advance. So here on the daily, the 200 EMA has also ruled the day. As you can see, multiple lines of respect going back here to November, and you'll notice that HMA kind of just offers that nice cushiony support. And over here, it's the same thing. We climb up above it, and it sticks to it like a magnet. Can hardly leave it. Finally pops off, taps that resistance, all happening on extraordinarily low volume. And that's why we're probably going to see a break below the 200-day EMA at 146. Now, here's what I am going to do. I suspect that at this point, we will get a bounce. Now, this bounce may end up getting reshorted. We may end up moving like this. So you'll notice here, we get 3 days, right? So we get 3 days, a little chop. Finally, a push down. In this case, back here, right, we end up stopping at the 9 and stopping at the 200, riding the 200 and closing below. And in this case, we've closed below the 9, below the 20, and on the 200-day EMA. So I suspect that we will see a couple of days of maybe just chop, trading in range. If that happens, count it as a blessing. And then we will go over that as it happens. Yeah, with game, I do believe we will see a squeeze. You think that we should slap the slop on the economy? Oh man, we got T-shirts. You know what I mean? Like we've got the He Up T-shirt. We've got the Nancy T. Like honestly, that's coming. We've got Slap the Slop. Imagine wearing that out. It does. It sounds really, really bad. It sounds. I probably shouldn't even say it on YouTube. All right. So anyway, let's. I'll get to your question there. Honestly, I don't know in just a minute. So, and Fubo honestly is going to be another good option. I think that Fubo has really good upside. I think that's why it's so low. I really do think Fubo is going to be a big stock, just like your Rokus and just like everything else. It will be a big stock. So anyway, so let's stick to Apple here. My next target, guys, and really where I want to see Apple close below is 146.75. That's one of basically the 50-day EMA as of now. And then after that, right, we're going to have a couple of different levels that we're watching. But this previous high, right, so this previous Apple all-time high back here in January of this year, right, where we had that, 1 second. Let me not have my account. So anyway, we had that rejection right up there. And it was kind of a not as a news-based catalyst, but it did pull back. It took 3 days to kind of do it, close below those EMAs. So, in my opinion, once we close below that previous all-time high and push our way down past these supports, I do think that we'll see 135. 135 is my price target. I think what I'm going to do is take a 135 put out for December, maybe December 17th, but I'm going to go ahead and set myself out there. I'm taking a bet. I do believe strongly that Apple will, whether it bounces up or down, will probably move to the downside. So Apple, December, and we'll look, but December 17th, 140 or 135. And here's the reason why I'm not going to enter this position extremely heavy or anything like that, is I do believe that a bounce at least back up to 150 is highly likely as a retest. And just like with anything to the downside, we like to stay close to those moving averages. 9-day moving average can be the bearish moving average, right? If it's on top, it's bearish. If it's below, it's bullish or bullish. So, yeah. If you guys have any questions, or you're dropping anything into the live right now, thank you guys for all the likes. Be sure to hop over to the YouTube right now. We are literally live. I'm sharing my chart just like this, lights, camera, action, and you guys can actually see my chart. Unfortunately, I can't multitask too much. I will get destroyed by ADHD, so that's suspicious. Okay, let's that's my levels for Apple. We will go more in depth on Apple tomorrow morning. Be sure to be tuned for or stay tuned on Apple. I'm going over long-term trends right now. Okay, let's keep it moving. So Roblox, I want to go ahead and go over Roblox. Long-term or the trend on Roblox seemingly climbing into a bilateral. So this right here is alarming. Okay. You don't want to see a big wick like that. So what you have is you have basically buyers taking this up. If you guys aren't familiar, also real quick before I get off track, we are doing a candlestick only class. This is free. This is on YouTube. It will be literally going over. So if you guys aren't subscribed to the YouTube or aren't on our Twitter, make sure to follow our Twitter. I'll let you guys know when we're going to post that. It will likely be this week. We're going to go over my favorite candlesticks, what candlesticks I look for, what they mean, what they're telling you, the story behind them, etc., etc. So in this case here, what I don't like about this story is that we do hit $90 and we drop really hard back down to 88. That to me is expressing a rejection, not continuation. So as this may be a neutral candle, it, in my opinion, is more bearish because you do approach this previous high and you reject it on the dot. You reject that high, and this does appear again to be some sort of bilateral pattern where this ended up trying to break out. And I apologize, that trend line was off, but this is where I believe that downtrend is at. We tried to break downtrend, and if we do not maintain or hold this, you will see a reversal in below 81.57. More than likely you will return either A, back down to this support, which is around $75, before you see your next bounce. And really, that's another stock that we're going to watch and look at pre-market. So one of the things that I try to avoid doing, I know with Apple I went a little bit in depth, is going too in depth. Oh man, hold on, I can't answer this one right now. That's funny. So yeah, for sure. So we got let's see, do you think Riot will bounce on Monday? That all depends on Bitcoin. So anyway, with Roblox, guys, if it's going to be a matter of looking at how things open up in pre-market, and that's it. So no, you're good, Tate. I try and keep it vibey. Okay, so we've got Bank of America, we've got Roblox. So for me, guys, I'm gonna keep it tight as far as tickers. I'm also gonna be watching Tesla. Here's the deal with Tesla, another bruiser. So in this case with Tesla, we have fallen. Same thing with Apple, guys. Literally the same thing with Apple. And I think I gave you guys I had the 750 strike or the 750 target for a week or two, and it was the same story as Apple and all the rest of them, trading inside of this large channel. And with Tesla, we ended up seeing a lot of chop up here, and now we are pulling out of that channel. If you go down here to the hourly, the channel becomes more clear, and you do see that you are at that 208 EMA. So in this case right now, I do suspect that Tesla will find its way back down into the 285. So that's Tesla for me, and I will go over a few more setups. Again, quad witching could give us this type of movement. Look where we're at on all of these charts. Let me go back. Let me show you something really quick. I want you guys just to look at this. So look at where we're at. See this chop? Let's go to the daily. See this chop? See where we're at? We're in a previous chop zone on Apple. Now let's go to Tesla. We're in a previous chop zone on Tesla. Now, what do we expect on a week like this? Chop, because that's what quad witching provides. It's usually overall bearish, like I answered before, but in the quad witchings that I've seen and the behavior that I've seen is usually choppy. It's not just, like you'll see a big wick down and just a big green candlestick. It's a nightmare. Can I show you guys the charts? The chart is live right now on YouTube. So if you guys want to see the chart, it is live right now on the YouTube. Okay. I got A and B for sure. Yeah. Fubo, yeah, we got that one. Okay. All right, Rolo Warrior. See you there, Daniel. Have a good night. We'll see you in the morning, all right? Okay, so Tesla, but that's it for me, guys. I'm keeping the list tight this week. 3, that's it. That's all I need. I'm gonna make my money on those 3, and then anything else will be momentum driven, and we'll find that later on in the week via scanner. So, all right. Yeah, right. Match. I actually have match. Yeah, I have MT. Yeah, I have that one written down. So if you guys want me to take a look at those charts, just hop on the YouTube. All right, so we got Tesla, and we're gonna go ahead and get into DE. So this is John Deere and Company. Nice one, Toothless. All right, so I haven't charted this one in a while. Ooh, okay. Yep. That looks yucky. Okay, hold on one second. CEI? Okay, I got it. All right, so John Deere. I don't want to pull the trigger and say that you're in a double top, but I kind of think that this is a bit of a double top. You did reject. Looks like a demand zone. The top of one, 390. I did see John Deere 450 calls for like December. Those are probably really red right now. So this is your support. This was that top resistance. So this is what I would speculate is you're gonna figure out your verdict as you approach the 353. Now this is what I was talking about previously on the fact that a lot of stocks are pulling back from those highs, those continuation highs, and they're doing so in monumental or extremely bearish fashion. So right now, anywhere below 360, 150, you will see Deere back down to 355.75. So, how you doing, Brian? What's up, Tyler? How's it going? So anyway, that's John Deere right there. I would go to the hourly here as well and set a couple levels for yourself. So this is obviously an obvious level right here. Mark that out, 362, as we stated before. Let me go to the 4 really quick. All right, got another little level there. That's going to be 355, 356. Now, one thing, let me use this opportunity to teach you guys. They're not just lines, they're zones. So I may set a price mark, but it's never just going to be the mark. It's going to be a little zone, usually a 50 to 25 cent zone that you'll see a little bit of reaction. Make sure to see that or to try and identify that when you're charting, because they know that you're looking for just the price to go into that zone. You need to see it established in that zone. So anyway, with the way that the trajectory of this support is going, I would suspect a minimum of 353, 354 on a pullback for Deere. So if you guys have any questions, you guys want me to take a look at any charts, if you guys are here on TikTok, I'm live on YouTube right now going over your tickers as we speak. Okay, Starbucks overall showing resistance. I think overall, for as far as the market is concerned, has been showing a bit of resilience. As the market has turned over, this has made a bit of a rounded bottom. Now, this all is very much to do with COVID and the impact that it's having, but we do know that reopening has benefited Starbucks in this long run. I think the last earnings was a little rough, but guidance wasn't terrible. So I think looking at Starbucks now, looking at the daily support, and we can go out here onto that daily and see how well this is established. So what I have going on, and I think this is why it's always important to step out to the daily here and do a little bit of candlestick analysis and some price action. So right here, this is going to be called, if I'm not mistaken, that's close to a gravestone doji. It's a long-legged doji, but you have this is bearish. So normally this would represent a bit of neutral if this price mark was a little bit higher, but in the case that it's you have a longer wick up to the top. So what this means is that buyers basically took it from that 119 and pushed it all the way up to 120, and then it returned back to the very same mark that it opened up at. So overall, you can consider that bearish, keeping it in range, keeping the price down. And if you look at that reaction there, you can see that there was a small gap and it didn't even fill that gap. There's a multitude of gaps on Starbucks, but in my opinion, with the overall market sentiment being as glim or as gloomy as it is, and looking at the price action here on the hourly, you get multiple rejections. I would suspect that you're going to see a pullback on Starbucks as well. It may not be as Yeah, so there's that right there, and I think we've been seeing setups that look identical to this, where you get that big pop, you get a really, really violent drop, kind of crushes people's premiums, changes sentiment towards the end of the day. You get one more pop, retail FOMO's in, and they pull it right back down again. And this is price action that you don't usually like to see when you're about to make a break for a higher high. So in this, in my opinion, 121.05 and then 120.75, that little zone up there, that would be your bullish break point. In this case, any gap that needs to get filled is going to get filled. There's a 90% chance, 91.4% chance that gaps get filled. I think the where that percentage gets thrown off is Sony. I think Sony has pretty much all the gaps in the whole world. No, I'm just kidding. There's other charts, but yeah. Upstart, yeah, for sure. All right, we're gonna go ahead, get your request in right now. If you guys aren't on the YouTube and you guys want me to, are you talking about a cut? Yes. Are you talking about on Starbucks? I think that it needs a little bit more cut before it gets a handle. The handle would likely occur in the 124 range, 123.50 to 124. That's where I would suspect a handle would form. If anything, it should and could happen even a little bit higher. Thank you guys, I appreciate those likes. But buy TDST at 126. All right, I give up and follow you now. I'm just kidding. If you guys want me to take a look at your tickers, type them in the chat, please. Down below, or in the YouTube chat. So if you guys aren't on YouTube, make sure to type them in there. I'm logging in the last ones at 9:10. I will no longer be taking any more requests for the rest of the night until tomorrow morning. If you guys want to be up bright and early with me, don't ever be afraid to tweet me. If you guys have a ticker or something that you want me to take a look at, I'm not always going to be able to get to it, but I'm happy to if I have the time. And I'm also really focused on trying to make videos again on individual tickers like I used to, because that used to be pretty much all I did. But ABT, I got you. ABT. Okay, all right, let's keep it moving on Starbucks here. So I would suspect that we're going to see a little pullback on Starbucks. 118.50, that's the 20-day EMA. And at that point, looking at the price action overall, if you get anywhere around 117, I would say 117.50, then we're likely going to go and sneak back into this support line, which is actually right here, and would likely be somewhere in the 116.75 range. That's my opinion anyway. For bullish continuation, right? So if Starbucks ends up climbing back up, I would suspect some sort of dip, right? So some sort of round, like cup-ish type movement here, or even maybe a lot of the times you'll set yourself up for a wedge. So it's obviously way too early to tell, but you could, end up wedging out, right? So making some type of reversal pattern into support and bouncing out there. So that's all speculative. We'll take a look at it in the morning. One at a time, Tyler. If I'm sorry, brother. Just one, and then if there's any time left over, if nobody else drops any, then I'll throw those. Apple, I already did cover. That one's on the top of my watch list, and I will update you guys further on Apple. Apple tomorrow morning, as I will likely be trading it, and I will likely be looking for a good place to take a short out. Okay, so let's do, we've got Starbucks. Is that MVST? That's Microvast Holdings. Ooh, boo-boo price action. Oh, that's money. That's an earnings correction, but that's money. So it's the moment of truth. Actually, you got a good. I wouldn't even say necessarily like a good setup. You just have the opportunity to move here now. So earnings just passed. That's normally one of the catalysts that I look for any type of movement, up or down. That would be up for you, right? So you're gonna have to go take a look at the fundamentals on MVST. So right now, you're up against that 200-day EMA. That's that That's that moving average that's probably going to be your most bullish in this case, or the most bearish as far as a resistance. You're going to want to get above that. And you can already see the wicks happening here at that 1224 level. So you're going to want to get up there and climb into that 1325 level in order to break this downtrend. Now you're at a point in which I do believe after all of this time being in this long dated downtrend, you have earnings here. If you think, and like I said, I don't know how the earnings performed. I don't know anything about it. But looking at the chart, if earnings went well, this could be a stock that does see continuation past that 1325 level. Other than that, right, this would be a rejection point. And if you go back down here for your third touch of support, that would be a descending triangle, right? Because all you could do if you guys, and I know a lot of people struggle with playing the downside. I know it sounds elementary, but flip that sucker upside down. Okay? Flip it upside down and look at it. Just look at it. Just kidding. So for this, in this case, you're going to want to see a bounce. And if you go back, or if you do see a bounce and you see a return to $9, which obviously, I'll flip that back around so nobody gets confused, then you will see further downside. Yeah. I'm barely learning how to chart, read TA. Any tips on what to focus on? Don't do that. Don't think that there's a specific way to get into charting. I think that's what people get caught up on the most, is they feel like they're doing it wrong. You're not doing it wrong. If you're doing it, you're doing it, right? And the only way to find out, if you're doing it wrong, you'll find out. You can get feedback. That's what I think that would be the number one thing that you would want to be looking for, is some type of feedback, some type of mentorship, some type of, okay, how does this chart look? Even if it's just amongst a group, amongst the people that you trust, or whatever the case may be, that's what I would be looking for. So if you're just getting into any type of trading, charting, all that kind of stuff, start with those basic patterns, right? So you're going to go, and this is using your brain in the way that it's designed to be used. Go and look at a chart pattern book. See what pops out, right? See what naturally pops out to you. Don't spend too much time staring at it, but go and look and see what pops out to you. Those are the patterns you need to look for. Now, it's just as simple as going and looking about and looking for those patterns. The human mind and human eyes are meant to identify patterns in life, in color, in nature, and all sorts of different things, and in this included. So you want to use your brain's natural ability to find these patterns, and not fight it by trying to force it to see something that it's not ready to, or it can't see naturally. So find a good, unbiased, just sheet of charts and start with your basic ones that kind of pop out to you, and start looking for them during intraday trading and charting them. So BBIG just missed the deadline, but I'll throw it out there. All right, that's the last chicker request for the night. What do you think about the cup and handle breakout? I'm have to look at CARG then for stock fade now. That's my boy. Sure. Yeah, we'll take a look at CARG. I just put CARB. Whoops. Okay. All right. So we got Starbucks, NBST. All right. The next one was AMD. This guy I had inside of a bilateral pattern. Now, one thing that I want you guys to know is that this angle, as it is support, doesn't necessarily mean that it won't find, and I'm just saying this out of speculation, it doesn't mean that it won't find another support. There is a game to be played on up or downside, right? So when you think it's going down and you're going to take a position downside, they'll bring it back up just enough to get you to doubt yourself, and then they'll drop it again. Man, it's COVID. So anyway, bounce up 105.75, right? That's where we're looking for a bounce if AMD bounces. That's where we'll be looking for. We have our downtrend. We haven't touched our downtrend for the third time. I usually like to look for a third test. All right, Jose, brother. I'll see you in the morning, man. Big love to you too, man. That's amazing. Sodio 105.85. Watch for that retest bounce up there. Otherwise, the break of this support's definitely well established, in my opinion. Or continuation of this break of support will have you down at 102.50, and I think ultimately retesting the $100 level. I do think that you will test $100 on AMD. I think that was probably priced in as soon as it happened, as soon as the initial run, you know, and volume has died down. It's going to need to breathe. I'd like to see it stay in range. This is right here. If you want to draw this line on your chart, this is the bigger support, the more important support that you can kind of consider in the case that if we're looking for a bounce, it's probably going to happen around this level. I just saw something as I said that. Let me bring it to your attention. Do you see the wick right there? Do you see the angle of those wicks and those bodies? That's often what will lead me when I see angles like this. See how, like, what did it bounce off of? That's kind of what will lead me to intuitively look for channels down. So in this case, this is either our new downtrend here, that we're going to be inside of this channel moving to the downside. So maybe I can expect for AMD to move back to 95.75 if we break that $100 level. So, all right. Yeah, good night, dingus. All right. Brian, we'll call you back here in just a second, man. Hang in tight. Don't you worry. I got you. All right. AMD, Fubo. Oh, come back here, little shit. Oh, I already got this one charted. Love it. Okay, so yeah, this price action here is usually what you see in some garbage. The bounces here showing me that there is definitely a possibility that we go and retest that 32.35. There's a very small gap to fill right here. That gap needs to get filled. It's super small, but it's likely to get filled regardless. I think that we could see 32.35. It does have that, and I'll show you real quick. It does have that support bounce right here. So what you're going to want to see, and I'm going to go down here to the hourly, see what this looks like. All right, so you have a downtrend break. So this is that downtrend right there. You've climbed up above that downtrend. Looks like you're flagging out on it right now. So going into tomorrow, you're going to want to see Fubo above 30.50. So set your alert on 30.50. You may end up dip, right? And I like this. I like this setup. So look at this right here. So you have like what could be a shoulder, a head, and then if you dip, right, you build your other shoulder and you get an inverse head and shoulders. That gives you that price target around 32.35. So, and that's math. Okay, so we got Fubo here. Thank you, I appreciate the rose. If there's volume, I'll take the trade with a little bit of volume. Looks like you get caught in range. I'm not seeing anything that you're doing on the screen. Yes, I am on YouTube right now. So if you guys want to see the YouTube screen, the link is in the bio. I'm sorry. I know it'd be funny if I was just looking at like a piece of paper. Why don't I point the camera at the computer so we can watch with you? Yeah, I could, but you're going to see everything backwards. There you go. There. I don't know if you're going to be able to see very well. That's only my only concern. I want you guys to be able to see it, but I'll take that. And then I have to turn around to see your request. So I want to be able to, I can see you. Feel so lonely. All right, we got Fubo here. All right, let's go take a look at CEI. I'm going to make this quite clear, guys, on CEI. This is and I can show you, this is a big Daddy Zach pump, all right? Zach Morris and the gang are pumping, and I'm not saying that they're pumping this, but never before in the history of CEI has it ever had this much volume. So is it a fundamentally sound stock? That's probably the question. Is that why they're taking the bet? That's another question. So in my opinion, looking at the charts, it looks like you're setting up another level. You get a or bull flag here. You get a little level building here. Same thing. You're getting a little bit of the same thing happening here, but the volatility increases each time. So here the range gets wider. Here the range is, this is the third wave. And in my opinion, this is where most buyers are going to get caught and scared. So I do suspect that this all depends on the climate of the market, of course, but I do suspect with this type of candle here, and if I'm not mistaken, so that would be considered a dark cloud cover, I think. Hold on a second. Do you gap up? No, it's not. Never mind. So a dark cloud cover is where you're going to gap up, right? And then you're going to engulf the previous day's candle. Oh my God. Come back here. This is very, very choppy. I would suspect, and just keep it simple for yourself. Here's your range, right? So 155 and 138. Bearish here, bullish here. And this is short-term bullish or bearish, I believe, because more than likely with as much retail who has bought the underneath of CEI, I don't suspect that they would fall anytime soon. So is absolutely, and I'm going to have to look back every time I do this. Listen, if CEI has fundamental news that comes in, perfect. I'm just giving you guys the charts, just charts tonight. UUUU is one of my favorite uranium stocks. It's one that's in my long-term portfolio. Yeah, I'm not worried. I'm never worried. I don't have I took out most. I'm in cash. In fact, most of you guys in the Discord heard me about 2.5 weeks ago, especially on Microsoft, which was one of my longer equity positions on a bigger, longer term, more steady stock. I went into cash on that. I set a price target around 240s, 250s, about 305. I hit my target and I got out. And I do believe, looking at the overall channels and sentiment in the market, that we will be downtrending into November. So at least the major stocks that we know and love. So anyway with CEI, this is more bearish than bullish choppy price action right now. I think shorts are gonna try and fight as it makes new highs. So right here it looks like 155, 138. That's the battleground. You take it when it goes and for me, I like to see an hourly candle close above it. And what usually you'll know that candle will close above it when you get a new high. And I actually look at and have timers on each candlestick, so that way I don't even have to guess. I'm gonna take a nap. Oh, that's fine. Okay, Upstart. All right. Okay, so Upstart. What a weird stock. I think we talked about this previously on the fact that Upstart on earnings would pop and drop. I do believe that we're at least going to head back down to 250.75. In fact, now that I'm looking at this chart, Upstart just made it on my bear list. I hope that's not what you didn't want to hear. What is true? All right, beautiful stuff. I love it. Okay, so Upstart here, guys. This is a engulfment candle. Now, it happens on high volume, which you guys know, that's higher sentiment. Good night, Briston. By the way, sorry. So anyway, with this, it's overbought. RSI screaming overbought. I do believe that we will see a pullback. Upstart price target 250.75. Now that's where the 9-day moving average is currently. That's my most nearest bullish moving average on that time frame. And if you'll notice here, my 200-day EMA on the hourly is sitting at 242.90, right? So there's the range, there are 250s right here, not too much farther away. I honestly believe that Upstart, looking at the cyclical nature, I do believe that we'll see 230s. more than likely we'll see Upstart pull back in some sort, shape, or fashion, back down to that 9-day moving average, back down to some of its previous breakout levels. So you'll notice the accumulation under this level here. That's more than likely where it will drop back down to. You can, if you want, throw up a few pivot points. I don't have the pivot point strategy on at the moment. Why do I have 2 RSIs? Yeah. Oh, I've got 2 volumes too. Sorry about that. So anyway, with Upstart, let's go here. Boom. Look at that, 260. So 260 at a minimum. Next week, I would say 261, 260 range. And you can also see if I set a level here, kind of why I'm choosing that as a level. So you see 1, 2, 3, that level shows respect. So we're looking for a return to that level, 260, 267, and 260 on the dot. So that's Upstart and the price target overall. So right now, bearish targets, right? I wish I could record this, make a video with it, but my bearish targets right now, Apple 135, a Tesla 689, and Upstart 250, 75. So all right, match. Oops. Oh, that sucks. So I don't know when the inclusion news came in. Obviously when Moderna got its S&P inclusion news, it ripped for a while. And it did, I think, initially have a pullback Match Group has ran pretty hard. In fact, you got a big gap. And oh man, this is actually pretty cool. So this is a good example of rejecting the entirety of the gap. So you actually have a rather large gap to fill both here. You actually gapped up over a gap, which is highly unusual. You've got a large EMA crossover, the 9 crossing to 50, the 20 crossing to 50, and you've already had those cross over the 200. So major EMA crossover there. This is a bullish candle overall, engulfing all 3 of these. Buyers pulling it back up from 153.92 and pushing it all the way to 171. That's likely on that news that Match would see the inclusion into the S&P 500. It does appear that they're pulling off a technical double top. I don't think that means jack shit when you have a S&P inclusion. Anytime you have an S&P inclusion, normally stocks will run. So Match Group could show. Now this also depends if the market trends down. We're going to look for SPY where we're looking for SPY to get to that daily 50-day EMA right here, and then maybe we see Match bounce. So we'll watch. Match could go fill its gaps below it before it actually runs, but I'll add this one to the watch list. So with Match, that's the previous high here. Oh boy, you got a lot of shit about to happen. You got a lot of range, a lot of pocket to chop around in. So watch Match to stay resilient to the market pullbacks and maybe even stay in a pocket here as the S&P pulls back before it kind of coils up and rips. I think that Match goes higher. Personally, looking at this chart, all you got to do is get into that 167.50 zone and you're off to the races. So sorry if you guys. Yes, if you guys would like to see my analysis on the stock market and the overall ETFs, please feel free to hop onto my YouTube, where I've covered pretty much all of those, the sentiment for the week, everything. So Match group right here, guys. Anyway, overall volume high, great news. Up again, pretty much a really nice strong bullish candle, a gap rejection, 500 HMA slap the slop. Looks like we're likely going higher. Set alerts. There are sellers sitting above in the 170s, so we're just gonna have to kind of crank it out as basically the sentiment of the market. That's gonna be the number one thing. So we'll see how futures move. ABT, yeah, a little bit. All right, ABT. First of all, these suckers already broke downtrend, something fierce. This had a correction. That's a correction, by the way. Also, one thing that I want to discuss, and I'm going to discuss it in the candlestick workshop that we have on YouTube. And by the way, this will be free on YouTube. Those of you guys don't know candlestick analysis, if you guys don't know candlestick analysis, make sure. Yeah, I just did Upstart. If you go on the YouTube right now, I just covered Upstart about. I've been on live for an hour and 15 minutes. About an hour and 10 minutes, I would say, is right when I started going over Upstart. So feel free to hop on there and check that out. So with Abbott right now, you're in a really nice, steady, clean, and this is what you see from dinosaurs companies. This is heavily institutionally owned. This is what you kind of see in a nice, steady uptrend right here. Just a nice climb, get those senators nice and happy with their gains. This is the channel in which you are gaining in. I do suspect that relatively soon, and you're likely going to trade a little bit flatter, so maybe stay underneath that 138, 129, and I think you will pop to 131.50 before you finally see a pullback. If you don't see a pullback sooner, that pullback will likely pull you back down to 125. And of course, it's the pharmaceutical industry, so volatility and change in trends are known to happen. So but that's what I think here on ABT. Nice dinosaur, nice slow mover. Did I do AMC? No, but I will tomorrow in the morning. Sorry. Okay, BBIG. I know this, everybody wants to see BBIG, so here you go. All right, so here's this baby right here. I think it's pretty obvious that we're inside of this crazy looking triangle here. When is your candlestick pattern session? Make sure to follow us on Twitter. I will alert you guys. I'm thinking Wednesday night. I really think that you guys should take this week to focus on education and working on patience and finding something to do when you're done trading. Because if you don't have anything else to do, then you're going to keep trading. You're going to lose money. Most people in here, and I could probably get about 1,000 hands up. There's only 16, 17 people in here, but we'll probably tell you that over trading has been a huge problem, or been a problem for them. Everybody suffered through over trading. This week will cause you to overtrade. No, I don't have Riot on my list, but it's 9:33. If I can get it, if I can get done with, Disney and Hut for 1:45, then I will absolutely take a look at that one. I should, though. I should be able to. Actually, I already did Disney. So okay, anyway, I have a couple of different, now guys, granted, this is BBIG. This is another Twitter Furu pumping crazy social media, right? So whatever happens here, it happens. It's all a gamble. But going off of the rule of thumb that we have, three taps of a resistance usually, or 3 waves, right? So we're right now at the second. We want to go back down. Either A, we're going to reverse right here, hold this, like probably what's going to end up being end up being a flag here. But you either A, reverse out of this and you go and you hit that $13 mark. Remember that mark. Write that down. $13 mark. Every time Moderna chopped, overtraded, lost a bunch. Yep. That happens. It happens to all of us. I can tell. That's a whole different workshop. I would say $13, right? $13. That would be the third resistance. This is based off of this angle here. Other than that, This is purely speculative. And granted, I will say that as far as over trading is concerned, if you don't have a goal set, right, and it takes perspective, right, like really think about how awesome and how like grateful we ought to be able to do this. And I think that everybody's underlying want to not have to deal with the shit that they constantly deal with is a fuel for them to stay at the table, because they feel like as soon as they walk away, they're going to miss something. And that likely happened because they did miss something, right? They walked away, they missed something. It happens to me constantly. You guys have seen it happen on live. I stepped away and Apple dumped. I've been waiting on Apple to dump. I was waiting all afternoon and it dumped without me, and I just had to watch it happen. So it happens to all of us. Have something to work on, have something to put your energy into afterwards, have somebody to talk to, right, about the trading day. Reflect on it, make your own little group, right? Like if you have somebody that you know, 3 or 4 people, make a little group, talk amongst yourselves, talk about the trading day, and then step away from it. Have a meeting. All right, so we got BBIG there. No, they're not. That's you're just saying that because I hurt your little boy's feelings, Starboy's feelings, and you're just really hurt. I understand that, but I actually recorded one of his lives, and he just told his buyers to buy the gap, and then you guys tagged me in a video that I should watch, and it was even a worse example. So if you're gonna come in and say stuff on my live, then at least have some sort of viable video or something to back up those claims, my friend. But you have a great night, my boy. So let's take a look at Riot here. So Riot's going to be purely running off of, I don't even think this dude knows what a standard deviation channel is. And that's, well, I can't insult him for that, but as if he's the best, says he's the best trader on the internet, he ought to know what that is. So on Riot, guys, actually, I think the overall sentiment on Riot is kind of bearish. I know a lot of people are kind of probably already looking at me like, shut up, but you're going to find that out relatively soon. So what you have right now is a descending wedge, in my opinion. So you're falling from those highs of 78, and right now you have that first initial bounce, 2136. You get a return back up to the 500 HMA. You bounce there, and you reject. All of this happening on low volume, right? So those of you guys who know anything about volume and how it impacts the stocks, right? We want good volume. Volume lets us know the distance in which we can possibly travel. So in this case, right, using that theory, and as well as looking at the third bounce, right? So we're third wave, third bounce, 3 times and a break, 3 times and a breakout. So in this case, we are at the 200-day EMA for the 3rd time. We're also seeing Bitcoin, right? I gave you guys, those of you, I know I'm not a Bitcoin master, but I gave you guys a price target wave. I think it was back when we were August, that we would likely reject 52. I think we actually rejected 53, so I was wrong on that one, but we did fall out of that falling wedge. And everything, I know I'm not going to be hated or liked for this, but I really feel that Bitcoin is going back down to 41K pretty soon. It's going to happen very quickly. But you will likely head back down, and so will Riot. So I do think that the overall sentiment on Riot, if you don't see anything from crypto in general, is to continue to the downside. So, okay. Of course, Bob, not a problem. All right, can I take anybody's questions? Yeah, I'm not the best at all, but I do think that having a chat amongst some of the... So here's my theory, if you guys have a second. This is outside of charting. Charting session is done. So you have Zach Morris. I really don't care who hears this. You have Zach Morris. You have Atlas Trading. Shinobi works for Atlas Trading, or is with them. He's very close friends with all of these micro groups. Each one of these micro groups has about a 30,000 minimum following, right? 30,000. So if you even took 500 and you said that each one of his followers contributed $500 to each one of the plays, or even $100 to one of their plays. You add up each one of those, and the reason that they all have a chat that they all talk and communicate in is so that way they can use those numbers as like an army, right? So in order to push something up. And I will, oh, you got Skip? I will absolutely do that. I'm sorry. You guys can see that. Look at CEI. Never, ever, 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 ever has CEI ever had this much volume. It's unsustainable. Somebody will get dropped. Period. End of story. So if you are not self-sufficient and you're waiting, you know what the sign of a true mature trader is? Write this down. Find a stock, play the stock, make money from the stock, and that's it. That's somebody who's mature. That's somebody who's like matured, not like a mature person, but like maybe you could be a high schooler and do this, but like if you can go and find the stock, or if you hear somebody call out a stock and you're like, hey, I see what they see. Do it, play it. You know, do play it how you would. But don't wait for somebody to stamp the okay on there for you, because that's how retail gets used as pumping devices for people's stocks, slow floats, and contracts. So anyway, ISEE. Is this, did I do that right? Hold on. Iveric Bio. All right, so this is another one of those situations where I can only do so much. All right, so I'm not going to sit here and bullshit and say that I know what this chart is doing or even anything. So here's at least on the higher time frame. On the higher time frame, it had a reversal pattern going into earnings that it broke down from, and then immediately reversed, which is obviously a retail drop. But anyway, so right now, I would say, right, and this is going to be speculative, I'm using the hourly. That's my favorite time frame to kind of divide the higher and the lower. This is what I would suspect. So watch for IC to hit a high of 1650. So IC, I'm going to write this down so maybe we'll find out if I'm crazy. I have 1625. That's that top resistance there. That's based off the angle of resistance here. This is a reversal pattern. If this hits that mark and rejects 1650, 1660, you will likely see a reversal at that point. Yeah. Joe Dallas, hot damn, dude. Calm down there. But the fact of the matter is, guys, this frustration, it's not even a frustration of mine. It's I just know whose money they're playing with, right? And this is a dog eat dog world in some sense of the fashion, right? Like somebody's gonna lose. But fuck, if I'm not gonna try and stop retail from shitting on itself, you know, like there's no reason to. There's still a way that people can make money and not do that, but oh well. Anyway, so oh, this guy says I don't know how the market works. All right, I quit, everybody. I'm shutting it down. I'm selling my computers. Everything's over. All right, guys. Anyway, I did miss Facebook Mermaid. I'm sorry about that one. Look at these lines. Oh my god. All right, so market. This fan says that's insecurities coming out, guys. It happens. All right, so Facebook, y'all, man, if that doesn't scream short to me. So right here, I'm going to give you an example of what a false breakout is, right? And why I absolutely hate bilateral patterns. And bilateral meaning they can go either way. There's not like a bull flag or, you know, a bearish and gold. Like it's just a pivot is bilateral. It could go either way. So if we're using the theory that I talked about previously about 3 times in a break, right? So 1, 2, 3, we're looking for that break there. So 384, and we get 2 days, or excuse me, two consecutive wick ups to those levels and it gets rejected. That's it. So in my opinion, below 375, you're gonna see Facebook down in the 370, 360 levels pretty quickly, and that will be support. So let me go back here to the daily really quickly and show you guys how far Facebook is and how hard they can drop. Because I really, really believe that Facebook is going to have to turn into something else. They cannot continue to be the hidey hole for weird stuff. Anyway, so here's the channel. There's Facebook's channel right there, just like Microsoft, just like all of them. They're all of them are up against the top of their channels. It's beautiful. So in this, with this being said, looking at the setup here, I would suspect that back down to 350, and that may be towards the end of October, but that's kind of what I would be suspecting there as a relatively healthy pullback. So you could use this support here, right? Yeah. So that's look how it lines up with the 50. Do you see that 50 EMA? Oof, I love when that happens. So watch for a pullback on Facebook to 368, 370, somewhere in there, maybe even touching somewhere in the 365s. And then that's where you don't take that bearish biasness anymore. You don't try and guess the bottom. You can have a price target for where the bottom can be, but you also look at where the bounces can happen. Always remember that. Do I trade futures? Very rarely, but yes, I do. I trade with Manny, and Manny is more of the futures guy. Not that I don't get it, but I just don't do it that much. I haven't had any bad luck on it. So, also Mermaid, this is a rising wedge long term, so it will fall. I think that maybe not now, but I do think that we're gonna see 330s, even 310s back on Facebook. I think that we're gonna see a fracturing. So just talking about the overall market in general, you don't do DD on what the most popular stocks on the market for months. What is this guy even talking about? What are you even talking about? I've never... What are you guys talking about? Oh, you guys are arguing. Okay, I'll leave you guys to it. Sorry. That's about it, actually. So we got Facebook. I'll look at BA. I got a few more. Not late. Okay, so it's really funny that you asked me that. So you can see right now that I already have the chart set up on BA. I would actually say this is a highly likely. That's actually, and BA just keeps, they're burning money. We might actually have somebody here who works for BA. I'm kidding. Not in our group, but I just mean watching live right now, or who works for them. All right, so look at that. We got 205, 206 zone. So 205, 206, 207.35, little zone here, that wick right there. Look at how strong this level is, y'all. 200 is gonna be so... Trading view. Go to my, so if you go here, so go to so you can either do this, right, and I'll just send this in the chat. There you go. That's my page. You can either just Google it on ideas, but that's how you find that. So anyway, so BA, this one, same thing, 3 times in a bounce. So we had 1, 2, 3, and this one's getting pushed down. You can see we're underneath that 9-day EMA. We have another engulfment candle. Honestly, everything looks bearish to me. I am so happy. I'm just kidding. So my first target for you would be 200, 205, 200. Remember, this thing is heavily institutionally owned. And look at how it behaves. please don't get overzealous on Boeing until we have definitive news. So in this case, the range of 202.50 and 214.70 is crazy heavy. So watch those. And then right below that, you have the 190. You can see 192, heavy bounce at 192. Small gap to fill at 187. So set lots of alerts on this at each one of those gaps. It is going down. I do believe Boeing will drop down into the 200s, lower 200s, but breaking 200 will be tough. So, all right. What are you guys still arguing about? Wait till Instagram all become. Yeah, I have. Why are you guys talking about that? Can I? You know what I should do? I should kick you out right now so that way you can't finish your conversation. Look at that. Bye. Deuces. All right, y'all. Well, that's it for me. I'll see you guys in the morning. You guys have a wonderful night. We're gonna kick ass tomorrow, even if that means just learning. If the market gives us shit, we're gonna take a step aside and we'll have a little mini class on something or another. Probably whatever the market decides we need to learn. So thank you guys as always for tuning into the YouTube, leaving likes. The algorithms love them. They eat them. They're delicious. Also, those of you who shared this video, I know there's a lot of you who retweet it and share it on different platforms. That is very much appreciated, and I definitely noticed those things. So thank you very much. You guys have a wonderful evening, and I'll see you guys tomorrow morning. Peace out. 8:15, 8:30. Make sure to hop on. Follow the YouTube or the Twitter. Peace. All right.